Back in August, I did a big trip to the library and I challenged myself to read all of the books that I rented. So I will take you along and show you how it went. And I have a few good picks, but also some I wasn't sure about. But I will tell you more about it throughout the video. Enjoy! Maybe in autumn? I forgot to show you the books that I got from the library because I'm really excited about these two. So the first one, continuing with my review of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, I chose Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. And I think from the blurb I understood it that this author has written many books and this is just one of them. I'm not sure what their gender is, but it said in the blurb that they do really well in recreating this world that Jane Austen set, Regency England. And it's basically that the plot is basically that it's like 6 or 8 years into the marriage of Darcy and Elizabeth, and their marriage is not doing well, at least in their in their fantasy world. And her sister, who maybe I will spoil Pride and Prejudice when telling you about this. There's a death. Let's just say there's a death in the family, and a mysterious death at that. And I guess they start to investigate or try to find out what happened, and it kind of unravels things from the past that happened, during Pride and Prejudice. And it's set on the eve of the annual autumn ball in 1803. So when I was at the library on Tuesday, I had not continued Pride and Prejudice yet, but I knew that I wanted to finish that book. It's also one of those challenge books, the same as reading the middle grade. I also had the challenge of reading a classic, so I chose Pride and Prejudice. So I thought if I enjoyed reading that book, which I knew I was already enjoying, then maybe continuing with something set in the same world with the same characters would be nice. And this didn't sound like it was, this kind of hilarious retelling or continuation, but rather a very serious topic. And it also said in the blurb that they really, did well in characterizing the main characters, just like Jane Austen did. So I wanted something that stayed a bit more true to the original material. And I hope this delivers in that. So yeah, and it's set in autumn, so somehow it calls me. So this is number 1, and I'll probably start this some days after I finish this challenge, because I don't want to read physical books until Sunday. So I'll start next week with reading physical books, and I finished Pride and Prejudice just now, so I will have to start this soon, not only because I rented this from the library, but also because then the world will be still, fresh in my mind. And then the second book, again, it's 50-50 with the summertime vibes in the autumn, because this is The Surf House by Lucy Clarke. Again, first time reading this author for me. And this is a destination thriller, I think. Yes. Set in Morocco. And it's really like the main topic is surfing. And yeah, so it's set at the Surf House, a sanctuary for travelers chasing sunshine and waves. So it kind of reminds me of Lucy Folly in that way, because I would categorize both books as destination thrillers. The thing is, I started Heads Will Roll on Saturday before I knew this audiobook challenge was coming for me. And I really feel a pull towards that book, but my app does not have it as an audiobook. I would have to buy it. So I'll just continue reading it on my Kindle as I have been. But this reminds me of the, it's a destination thriller as well, but it's more of a slasher, which I really enjoy in the summertime. And this is a destination thriller as well as Midnight Feast. So I'm on a roll here, and I have to see if that's not too much for me, like reading book after book after book with the same kind of mechanisms. But this sounded really well done, and I'm also intrigued by the setting. And it's I love books that have this format, which it's really big. Maybe I can show you in comparison to my notebook, but it has a large typeset. So yeah, I can fly through this and feel very accomplished because I've read so much, although I didn't read that much. So that's how I kind of psychologically trick myself into reading these kinds of books. Hi guys, it's Tuesday night and I just wanted to update you a bit. I'm actually 65 pages into Death Comes to Pemberly, and last night after I finished reading, or rather this morning actually, I had a look into this other book that I brought home with me from the library, which is set in Morocco, and it's about surfing, and I think it's a thriller. And I noticed that my pull towards the second book is higher than continuing with Death Comes to Pemberly. I will give it another try while finishing my dinner tonight, and then I will make a decision. Maybe I will pause Death Comes to Pemberly and start the other book that I brought from the library. But at the moment, the writing isn't really for me. I feel like it's a bit strange after just having read Pride and Prejudice to read this book, because I can feel it trying very hard to imitate the language of like 1806, and I guess P.D. James is doing an okay job, but it's not hitting the sweet spot, of course, because it's not Jane Austen. But that kind of, irritates me then, so I would have liked for it to not try too hard. I once had this version this like retelling of Emma in my hands, which I didn't finish as well, but this book at least didn't try to be too serious about it. It knew it couldn't really hit the sweet spot, so it didn't even try, and that was kind of what made it endearing to me. But with P.D. James, I feel like he's trying a bit too hard, and it's not really working for me. So that's why I'm not really sure if I want to continue. I'm not really invested in the story, I have to say. And he tries to do, or they, I'm not sure who they are exactly, but they try to do the same thing as Jane Austen, where they have like large descriptive passages of like the surrounding estate and people and their relationships, but I don't really see a sense in them. So they are describing different people, not just the core family of the people living at Pemberley, but also their servants and the people living in the woods. And I understand, like, they are telling me this because it will be relevant to the story later on, but it's too on the nose. The setup is too on the nose, and it doesn't make sense to tell me about this in this moment that we're in right now. So I think the mystery part isn't done very well, and the intrigue isn't really catching me. Yes, but I will give it another 30 pages or so while eating my dinner, and then I will decide maybe tonight in bed I will start the other book, which is Calling to Me More, and give that one a try. But I like to stick to a book once I've started it, because, you know, after a few pages I might change my opinion. Hey guys, I'm just checking in with you to tell you that I made it to, I think, 72 pages of Death Comes to Pemberly. And I'm going to stop reading this for now. As I've mentioned, I'm not really feeling it. I notice myself eyeing the page count during, while I'm reading, which makes me feel like I want to hit a certain page number, like 30 pages a day, and then I want to put it down. And I haven't even read 30 pages today now, and I was, still looking forward to the end of my page count. I was like, no, that's not the kind of reading experience I need in my life. And so I've put it down, and I actually feel like I won't really want to pick it back up again. I have to be honest. So I'll start reading this other book I got from the library, and then I will see if I'm in the mood for that. And if not, then I still have Crying in H-Mart, which is a memoir, which I'm okay-ish in the mood for, but not really in the mood for. So maybe this fiction option that I still have is more, of what I want right now. But let's see what I decide. Look who's decided to join us. Sunshine! Yes, so today is Wednesday, and it's again warm and sunny, so the rain has finally stopped. The temperatures are a bit more summery now, and everyone is out and about. I even had to put on sunscreen, so yeah, summer is finally back, and I hope it stays that way for a while. I just came out to ride my bike in the local park. We have some dinner planned with friends of ours who just had their first baby. So I'm looking forward to cooking them a nice meal and just catching up and cuddling with their newborn baby, which would be really fun. He's really cute. And I also brought with me the surf house, which I started yesterday evening. And I have a few more minutes to get some pages in. Not too many before I have to leave, but this should be fun. So I'll sit down beside this tree and start reading this wonderful summery book. I'm really enjoying this book, and I've just learned the name of one of the main characters probably, and it's really nice. He's called Aiden, so I really like that name, I have to say. And the chapters are really short, and the font is really large in this version that I have, so it's really easy to fly through these pages. And yesterday when I started it, I noticed that I didn't want to stop, but then I had to go to bed at some point and my eyes were really tired. And right now I think I'm only stopping because I have something arranged with friends, but otherwise I think I would sit a few minutes more and get more done, because it doesn't feel like getting it done. It feels like I'm really enjoying it. This one passage just now described the sounds of the oceans and the different sounds of the waves, and that's something I extremely enjoy. The ocean is very dear to me, and it really relaxes me. Reading these passages is the same as with the sirens, where it really sucks you into that scenery and takes you away from everyday life. So I really enjoy that about this book as well. And I'm really glad, because this is much more what I want to be spending my time on than when Death Comes to Pemberly. So I've made the right decision, and I encourage you to do the same. If you ever feel like you're dragging yourself through a book just because you feel like you have to, don't, just put it down. Even if it's for a book club or you've rented it from the library, who cares? Then maybe you can only contribute to half of the discussion in the book club because you've only read half of the book or something. But there are so many good books and extremely good literature out there, and you want to be really, enjoying your time and using it wisely. So I encourage you to, put it down if you don't feel like it. I've just come off from work and I'm at my local park. It's Thursday and it's sunny again and it's gotten really, really warm. So I'm enjoying the summer vibes today as well, just like yesterday. I have a meeting of the local place where I volunteer sometimes in like an hour from now, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get there. So I have a few moments of reading time, just enjoying being out in nature and relaxing after work. I finished my week of work for now because I took a day off tomorrow, so I have a free Friday again, just like last week, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just the ultimate freedom to do whatever I want. So I'll take you along with me as well, of course. Well, this truly is a perfect summer book. There's swimming in the pool, lots of description of wonderful summer fruits and vegetables, cooking, the surf house that the book is named after, the architecture and the interior design. It's just open spaces, whitewashed walls, light blue colors. It's very, very, I guess Mediterranean in the end, because it is set in Morocco. And of course there's this description of surfing and the waves and the whitewash, and it's really interesting. I love the ocean myself, and my family was never really into water sports, so I've never tried surfing, but I did windsurfing once during a summer holiday. I did a course, and I have a certificate, but surfing I never tried. But how it's described here, it sounds really interesting, like I could be into it. So I love the fact that through this book I'm learning something or getting, interested in a new activity, because it's described in such a way that fascinates me as a reader. So that really speaks to me, and maybe I should try surfing sometime. By Lucy Clarke. I finished it yesterday, so it took me about a week, which is longer than I thought it would take me, probably because it's 390 pages. I somehow underestimated the font size and the page size. I thought that I would get through this more quickly. But anyway, I can recommend this book a lot. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The one thing I have to say is that the ending surprised me, in that I thought that it would lead somewhere else. So I think you could say there's a plot twist that I did not see coming, but I'm not sure how much I liked it. I guess I was a bit waiting for the things I was anticipating to happen. So when they didn't, the alternative that actually happened in the book, it somehow didn't really satisfy me. But apart from that, this was a page turner. So if you're ever looking for a book that you can fly through, although it took me a week, once you get started reading, you really fly through, because some chapters are like 3 pages long and then it's on to the next chapter. So it is fast paced, though still you get enough world building, maybe, if you can call it that. You really get attached to the place. I felt attached to the main character. To some of the other characters, I didn't feel as attached to. But in general, I enjoyed the atmosphere. I loved reading about surfing and the whole atmosphere in that place. I think what I would have wished for from the author was more of a reflection on privilege and the power dynamics of these youngish white people that have lots of social mobility, that can just, switch from place to place, whose passport enable them to travel places, and who can bribe the local police, or, well, that's maybe a spoiler, but anyway, maybe not so much, who have the capacity to develop these places and open up hostels and live in those hostels and travel and things like that, compared to the local community and the people that maybe they displaced by the ambitions that these white people had in moving to Morocco and building up their own life there. I think a reflection on that would have been a very interesting conversation to have. And one difference I also noticed with the Sirens, which takes place in Australia, on the Australian coast, there was a preface of the author where she acknowledged the devastating impact of colonialization of Australia on the indigenous people living there, and she acknowledged certain Aboriginal tribes, and I think that with Moroccan history in mind, one could have done something similar, or I felt like the context of where this was taking place was kind of missing. And I think in the beginning I thought, well, maybe this was published a long time ago, where these things such as a preface were not common practice, but then I checked, and it's a recent publication. It was published in 2025, so this year. I was surprised when I found that out. So I would be interested in reading more from Lucy Clarke and to see whether she reflects on these topics in some of her other work. I didn't really check on any author information. There is no information on the author in my version of the book, I think. Maybe in the beginning, I'm not sure. No, it doesn't look like it. But she has written other books. The Hike is one that is mentioned on here. So yeah, maybe I can check it out and see if she has these kinds of conversations in her other work. But in this one, I kind of missed that, especially with the direct comparison of the Sirens, where Amelia Hart acknowledges that it's not her right to write about these stories, which is why she chose to write about, people coming to Australia. One of the timelines in Sirens is convicts from Ireland coming to the coast of Australia and what happens to those people, and so on. So I thought that reflection felt genuine and appropriate, which is what I missed with The Surf House by Lucy Clarke. And I think you can do it still with a thriller. There's no genre where this is not where this is not something you could do. Yes, that's basically what I thought of this book, and I must say I made the right decision in taking this up. I'm glad I read this, and now my challenge with reading books from the library is almost over. So I have one book left that I have rented. As you know, I decided against continuing Death Comes to Pemberley, so I DNF'd that one. I finished the Surf House, and now I have Crying in H-Mart left by Michelle Zauner. This is not a very long book. It's 230 pages, and I'm on page 25, chapter 3. So I'm hoping to make it through this week. This is probably going to be the book club pick for the book club I have with my colleagues from work. and we meet again next Monday, but we won't be discussing this book then. We just have a social get-together. But I think I will try to read it until then anyway, because I have to return it to the library too. And I also want to kind of depart from library rental books for now and orientate myself towards the books that I have already started. For example, Heads Will Roll, and the sequel to Where the Library Hides is the second one, and the first one, Where the River Runs. No, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, which is set in Egypt. So I still want to read this one while it's still August and warm. Hence, yeah, why I want to get to those 2 books after finishing Crying in H-Mart, which for me is not really a book connected to a certain time in the year, during the year. So these are my immediate reading plans, and I will get back to you once I have an update. And I forgot to mention, I'm also listening to the audiobook of The Starving Saints, and I'm 56% in. I'm making my way through it slowly, and I have 5 hours left. So maybe I will finish that this week as well, but I'm not sure. And then my hours for August will have almost finished. And as you know, on the 26th, which is in 2 weeks' time, there's a new release for the new release of R.F. Kuang, Katabasis. So I'm going to save some of my hours to start that in August as well. So after I finish The Starving Saints, I think I will stop with the audiobooks, which is why I'm stretching it a bit, trying not to listen to it too much while I'm at home, only while I'm traveling. And I'm not traveling too much on my own in the past couple of days, so I haven't made that much progress, which is a strategic decision. Anyway, see you guys with my next update. Hey everyone! I actually realized that my library rental of Crying in H-Mart is running out on Wednesday, and I cannot prolong it because I've done that once before, and that's the maximum you can do. I didn't know this. Seems kind of harsh. I think it means that you can have one book for 8 weeks and then you have to return it. So I somehow have to finish this until Wednesday, and I have plans on Tuesday night and tonight as well. So I only have Monday night if I want to give this book back on Wednesday. And I'm on page 109 out of 223. I just checked before I started this video. So, not sure how I'm supposed to handle that. I can read a few pages every night. So probably on Tuesday and tonight I can read like 30 pages each, so 60 total, which then leaves me at 170 out of 223. So I would still have to read 30 plus 23, 50 pages tomorrow night. I guess it's not impossible. But I must say, I knew that this was about the author's experience with losing her mom. When I started this, I don't think I knew that it was about cancer, and I've never had any experience of cancer in my own family. But of course you have other instances where people have to take care of their immediate relatives and things like that. And so she's describing this, and it's really intense and kind of, I'm not really able to let myself sink into the experiences that she is sharing. I kind of feel like I want to keep it at a distance in order not to get too depressed, even though of course I appreciate her sharing this experience. So I think I'm just not in the right mindset, but I know I shall I'm not in my mindset. Could be even better equipped to deal with this than it is right now. It's not too bad, but still I feel like the more I progress, the more I feel, it is touching a nerve somehow. And I know I'm going to finish it, because it's also one of the books we might read in my book club. And I want to also finish this library reading challenge. but I just wanted to let you know that it's, well, not an easy book to swallow, I think. It's extremely personal and very heartfelt, so be prepared if you want to read this book, which I can recommend you doing. But yeah, just know these things going into it, because I wasn't really aware of that. I have been reading my ass off to finish this book. It's now Tuesday afternoon, and I have to give it back to the library tomorrow. And I'm on page 183 of 239, I think. So I've made it quite a few pages in since the last time I updated you, and a few things have happened. The one very happy event, and the other the very tragic event that happens in this book. I probably told you that this is about the grief and loss, and so the loss has happened, and now I'm interested to see how the memoir finishes up. And I also started listening to the music of this author, because it's the artist behind Japanese Breakfast, and I had never heard of her before. So I started listening to it yesterday while I was reading, which was cool. I kind of like the idea of being able to listen to something that an author has produced apart from the book I'm reading. So that's kind of nice, and it's very touching, of course, and really emotional. I think this would be even harder if I had lost a close family relation apart from elderly people who were dying of natural causes. But it does kind of bring up these thoughts of grief and people that you've lost, even extended relatives that I didn't really have a close connection to. But still, I thought of them only today, probably because this book brought the memories back up of the time when they left us and the last time I saw them. And you start to think of, people you've lost again, and so that's a sign of a very good book, right? But I don't think that when it comes to memoirs, I don't really want to give a rating, because it's a personal story that the author decided to share. I can only talk about the way it is written, and this memoir I think is written really well. It's interesting how the author interspersed recipes for Korean food, her reflections on tradition and belonging as an American with Korean heritage, and that's really fascinating and exactly what I wanted from this book, so it delivers on that. I will keep you updated. I have 40 minutes until I have to leave, because my book club has a social gathering tonight, so we are going to a restaurant, and I will probably take you along for a bit, and so I have 40 minutes. Let's see how much of the rest of this book I can get done. I managed to get to page 203, but now I really have to leave. So let's go. I started this vlog a while ago, and I'm honestly really glad when I'm done with crying in H-Mart. Not because I don't like the book, don't get me wrong, but I just want to read other books. It's gotten really warm again, so it's not very autumnal yet, although I am really in the mood to start autumnal books, if I'm being honest. But I have to just pace myself a bit, because there are still a few books left on my summer TBR. Some of them I want to read physically, others I have on my ebook. And I know that these are the last few warmer weeks of the year, probably. I'm not sure how September is going to be, but from my experience, some years it's warm, others it's not, so I'm still trying to get those summary books in August, which is also almost over. Today's the 18th, I think, or the 19th. Anyway, soon summer will be over, so I am trying to stay in the mood for summary books. Yeah, so I'm happy when I finished Crying in H-Mart, because that's the last book I want to read for my library challenge, and then I will get on with other books I want to read.
Try, like for beginners, it's really, there's so many choices.
Hey, I've just returned, or I'm on my way home from the book club meeting, which was just a social gathering, so we didn't discuss any books. We wanted to meet without having the pressure to read a book until said meeting, so that's why we decided to do it like this time around. But we have decided on which book we want to read next. We had a poll between two books, and my proposal, Crying in H-Mart, made the final cut. So that's the one we'll be reading next, which is what I've already almost finished. So that means I won't have to read anything for the book club until we meet next time, which gives me a bit more leeway to read spontaneously, or the books that I have on my TBR, without having to read a certain book for a club or until a specific date. So that gives me some more free range in what I want to choose for my next reads. Good morning. It's Wednesday and I finished Crying in H-Mart last night. Actually, I'm pretty proud of myself, because on the way to the book club meeting, on my way back, and then before going to bed, I read the rest of the book, and I didn't think I would finish it. I thought I would have to continue reading today after work before I could hand the book in. Honestly, I didn't have to push myself this much, but I could have actually, given the book back to the library and then read on my ebook or something like that. And on the other hand, also the date for the meeting of the book club is not yet set, the date when we will discuss this book. So maybe we will only talk about this in like 5 weeks time or something. And maybe that I will have forgot a lot about the book, but I think it's okay. I can also look back at these videos and I think I will be able to remember. But I just felt like I wanted to finish it and also give back all of my library books. I will take you with me this afternoon. I don't think I will be taking any more books home with me today from the library, because I want to focus on the ones I have physically here, which I bought and paid for, and just some others on my ebook. And I don't feel like those are physically available at my library. I don't think so. So that's my little update, and with giving back the books in the afternoon, my library challenge, as I have, named it myself, will be finished. So I will give you a little review of all the books that I've read when I return them. So before we go to the library and return the books that I've rented, I wanted to give you a quick, short review of what I thought of them as we get to the end of this library challenge. So B.D. James's Death Comes to Pemberley, I actually DNF'd. I think I got 60 pages in, but it wasn't for me. I think he tried a bit too hard, or they, I don't know what genre they have. And it kind of didn't really deliver on what I wanted from this book. But it's okay. Then I read The Surf House by Lucy Clarke. I think I will be putting The Hike or any other book by Lucy Clarke on my TBR because I really enjoyed this. It was a bigger book than I thought, or it took me longer than I thought it would. If you're into reading about surfing, having this kind of hostel, hotel vibes, a very mysterious plot that sucks you in, you get invested into the characters and their well-being. You're wondering about all the lies people tell each other and who really has what kind of motive. This really does the job very well. So I can really recommend it if you're looking for a more mystery thriller set at the seaside with great description of the sea and waves and surfing and, you know, all the kind of summery activities you want to be doing. Lots of baking in here as well. And some murder. But anyway, and then lastly, I read Crying in H-Mart. This is also what we chose for my book club, so I'm ahead of that. This, I think, is from 2021, and it's the author's memoir on losing her mother, grief, and food and culture. She's half American, half Korean, and that's why it's Crying in H-Mart. Because she cries when she goes there to get local produce for the cooking she does in order to remember her mom and feel closer to her home culture. So I enjoyed this. I can really recommend it. I think I read it faster than I would have if I didn't have to get it back to the library by today. I think this is one you can savor for a longer time, and I feel like I'm getting back into memoirs, or more interested in memoirs, and this really contributed to that, so can highly recommend. And this, of course, the author is the musician behind Japanese Breakfast, so if you're into music and cooking and you want to learn more about, you know, Korean American culture and how it is growing up as a biracial person, then this may be for you. So let's go and return these.